age 7, I lost most of my vision. I had this genetic disease called macular degeneration and corneal dystrophy. Growing up, when I lost my vision, it was a huge adjustment because one day I was able to see fully. I was able to, go out with my friends biking. I was able to read my homework and the blackboard really easily. But then the next day, everything became much more difficult. Both my parents are distant cousins, so that played a role of why I received macular degeneration and corneal dystrophy. My parents are both from Lebanon, and in the Middle East, or a lot of actually developing countries, there is that, it's okay for cousins to get married. Marrying within the family and making sure to keep your wealth within the family, that's when marriage between cousins is encouraged.
Messages. Mail. 5005. Mail.
Both my sister and I lost our vision at age 7. They were not aware of this genetic problem, but they did their fullest to make sure that we lived a quote-unquote normal life. My mom was, I think the biggest support that I received. She never ever let me say, I can't do this because I can't see. She really pushed me to really use my potential to the fullest. I was born and raised in a Muslim family. My parents' role model stems from religious experience. One of the practices that the Prophet speaks for is the integration of all people within a society. There's even a verse in the Quran talking about someone who's blind and how creating empathy within a community and understanding what people go through, whether you're blind or have another struggle, is very important to understand that. It calls out that struggles in life are actually a blessing in disguise. So they took that struggle and they took the fact that their kids are blind as almost like a blessing in disguise. Let's actually see what good can come out of this. Let's turn it around and make it a positive outcome. I used to visit Lebanon every summer, and I used to see the vast difference between parents accepting and supporting their kids who have a disability versus parents who kind of are ashamed or overprotective in some ways and, keep their kids at home or don't let their kids go to school. And I started realizing this difference as I, grew older, and I realized how lucky I was actually to be where I am. It's not because I have a greater skill set or I have a bigger potential than other kids. It's just that I was lucky to have parents who were the most supportive people. 1/7 of the world's population is disabled, but it's an invisible community. Every person in your society should have the right to be integrated and should have the infrastructure to be integrated. There is that huge potential that's being lost, and it's very needed. There needs to be something done about that. So when I was a sophomore in college in 2009, I had the opportunity to do a program during the summer that dealt with blind kids and the integration of them into their society in Lebanon. I received a grant from the Clinton Foundation for my nonprofit organization, Empowerment Through Integration. The camp is called Camp Rafiki, which in Arabic, Rafiki means my friend. By making a friend and by creating that bond, it's the first step to integration. Having a friend, having a support system is so important for that self-development of that individual. There's a huge emotional aspect behind it that people forget. There's the frustration, the lack of confidence. I go through a lot of self-doubt a lot of the time. But having a friend and having a friend that believes in you is very important. So we wanted to emphasize that. And it's not just for the blind kids, it's also for sighted kids. Both blind and sighted kids learned how to use a cane. The blind kids are able to learn that actually I can integrate, I can actually be working with my sighted peers, and my sighted peers see me part of the society. And they're empowered, they become more confident, they start dreaming, they start hoping about how their life should turn out. So we actually went to villages across Lebanon and spoke to the local mayors there, and we advertised our programs. I ended up knocking on a lot of doors, especially families who had blind kids, and at times it worked out and it was successful, and at times it doesn't. And my plan is to keep on, after we build that credibility and after we kind of, run this many years, I'm still going to knock on those doors of parents that did not welcome the idea, because at the end, maybe if they feel more safe and they see this as a successful program and stuff, they'll send their kids. Yes, so in my work, I think we are facing kind of the mindset issue. So we work with Lebanon, and we're trying to integrate the marginalized disabled population. And the problem is when you come up to the government officials and we want to tell them that let's work on policies to integrate them, they come back and then say, well, it's not our priority. When you integrate a blind youth into society, a blind youth really starts believing that I have the right to dictate how my life turns out. I have the right to be part of the society. I have the right to go to school. I have the right to do X, Y, and Z. I have the right to go to work. I have the right to say what my life should turn out to be, not someone else. I want to create that self-development within that blind youth so they actually create change within their society instead of someone else coming and saying, here's what needs to be done.